Right. Deep breath. Are you okay? No.
Are we?
We're gonna do it this morning. Holly Willoughby style. It's okay. Sam's gone plus look on his face already. So start. Welcome to Wrestling Royal, where we always like to have fun with the recent news. Try and keep up with mainstream media. You can see, unlike last week, I am on this week. I have Sam, who was enjoying a long weekend in York, I believe.
Yeah, it was amazing. Oh, one of my favourite cities. And it's not quite Hull, but it's close by. I don't know why I'm always putting over Hull. I'm not even from there, but there we are.
Yeah, from the photos, you're wearing your Hull garments
T-shirt
as well.
Yeah, I had this idea that if I can get noticed by one person, then it's been a success. I said, I know it's a different city, but I thought, what if the off chance there's someone from Hull who knows Dom or is a fan of the show, and they spot that T-shirt and they go a little bit, oh wow, it's that, I know that, and then move on. So if I get noticed by one person wearing a Give Me a Hull Yeah T-shirt, it's been a success.
So
like Martin. Like Martin's in, and he noticed us in America, didn't you, Martin? All the way over the Atlantic.
Hey, going on. So let's go further. We are here on a Thursday night instead of a Friday night, and I'm going to reveal all as to why that's happening. This. Which is sound like there's some big epic as to why it's happening tonight and not on a Friday night like it normally. The reason why it's happening is because open basically to get to see Sam Fender tonight, and I'm still desperately trying to get tickets playing at St James's Park. And as a Newcastle fan, it's very to miss a local be playing in the local stadium on the 9th of June, which probably means not if you're from a different part of the country, but here. The 9th of June is Blaine Races, which might as well be a gaudy day. Effectively, yeah, it's a big deal. There is a possibility that we're getting a little bit of echo going on. If anyone's watching, just please let me know if there is an echo, and we'll see what we can do. But for now, yeah, the reason why we're here, we're going to have about Money in the Bank. And basically, so far we've got 3 of the male roster have been announced. The participants have won their once the Money in the Bank. There is an echo. So what I'm going to do is while I pop out, I'm going to let Sam take over for a second. Hopefully, this doesn't knock out the game because this hasn't happened before. I'm going to let Sam, and then I'll pop back on. Sam, talk to us about the 3 before we put on the presentation I've got to put together.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Okie dokie. Oh right, wow. Well, that was weird because again, it was strange that, and I've got a cough. It's all going on. So we could hear Andy talking, saying every word twice, which in a way it's a bonus that we get to hear Andy speak twice. But at the same time, when you're trying to do a stream, it's hard work. So hopefully he gets that sorted out, and we'll just go through the Money in the Bank cards. So it would help if I was professional and had the card up on screen. So Money in the Bank 2023, which I'm stupidly excited for because one way or another I'm going to be there. Hopefully going as press, that'll be nice. Failing that, I'll just go as a fan and get drunk. So I'm either there working or I'm there for fun. And I'm one of them weirdos who'd rather be there for work because it's my job and I need to eat. So yeah, let's go through who we've got so far. So we've got the gorgeous Ricochet. We've got Shinsuke Nakamura and LA Knight, who are already qualified for this match. Now I'm hearing Cody Rhodes might be in it as well, but it all depends, doesn't it, really, on does it make sense? Because he's not going to have his match with Brock Lesnar until SummerSlam, the rubber match between them. Like, word on the street is that's now going to be SummerSlam. So that does free up Cody to do that at Money in the Bank. And it also frees up Brock to interfere and cause some havoc. And Andy's back. How are we, Andy? Are you still echoey?
Let's see. Is there an echo still, or are we good?
You seem to be good. I think we fixed it. Oh, thank God.
Okay, so basically, the really expensive microphone I have has now had to be unplugged and just going off of the Mac microphone. Fantastic. That's
You've
good to
never
know.
sound so clear and nice. So,
Oh.
and to be fair, mate, it's a MacBook. It's an expensive computer, so you know, it's. I'm using saying that I'm using a speaker on there, so I don't know what I'm on about. But yeah, it's. I've used the
Fair
Mac one before. You sound good now.
Now I feel bad for making you move out of your attic because we thought it was a possible internet connection, and I made Sam go for a bit of a wander. But yeah,
How dare you? That's my command center. How dare you?
thank you
Attic.
for introing that. And yeah, we'll get to the rumors because, as you said, Cody Rhodes is possibly rumored to be in that match as well. But as you quite rightly said, we've got the three at the moment, which is Ricochet on the right, Shinsuke Nakamura in the middle, and we've got LA Knight, on the left. So basically, what we're going to do is we're just going to have a bit of a chat about what we think is the potential of these winning. There's issues, I guess, or questions around all three of these in terms of how good a Money in the Bank, Mr. Money in the Bank, whatever you want to kind of call them, they would be. And it's kind of like maybe these three in particular, you'd probably be a little bit surprised to know are getting up there a little bit in age compared to me having like a hot young talent coming through and being the ones kind of build the future around. Because obviously Money in the Bank's a very easy way to justify a new up and coming person to be part of the championship scene. So yeah, basically we're going to go through them. And who should we start with? Let's have a look. We will start with Ricochet, the man that gravity forgot. Although I can't remember if that's his or if that was Neville's. It's one of them. They're both high flyers. Ricochet, straight off the bat, what do you think the chances are of Ricochet being Mr. Money in the Bank when all is said and done?
Slim, I'm afraid. I'm a Ricochet guy. I Prince Puma. I still have amazing memories of that run he had in Lucha Underground. I think he's a nice guy in real life. I think he's a super talented guy. He's everything I like in a person. I'm not a big fan of like high flying and flippy guys. I like it sometimes, and there are some amazing matches like that on occasion. But I think if anybody does it well, it's him. You know, Ricochet is the king of it. But I don't think he's winning this. I think he's in there with people who are more deserving and just bigger stars. And I'm just going to let my cat in there. I am sorry. I'll be one moment. But that's my thoughts on Ricochet.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, Tom, thanks for joining us. Really good to see you in. Hope you're having a good Thursday night and looking forward to a good weekend, hopefully. Tom's a good friend of the show. Go check out his channel, Tom Talks Rubbish, on YouTube. He's getting some good figures over there and got some great guests as well. So go check out the interviews he does over on Tom Talks Rubbish and go give him a like and subscribe on his channel as well.
I've got to say, Tom, I've got a bone to pick with you, Tom, actually. It's false advertising, mate, because you don't, in fact, talk rubbish. You actually, in fact, talk value. So I went on for an interview on that channel expecting to hear you talk rubbish, and no rubbish was talked. So I want a refund. There you go.
Yeah, I can attest to that as well. So go talk out Tom Talks Sense, unless that's another channel, then I don't know who that is. But yeah, Ricochet. Basically, my thoughts on Ricochet is when you're putting together a ladder match or a Money in the Bank match where you kind of need individuals to serve a purpose. Now, yes. I remember the ladder match for the North American title on NXT TakeOver in New Orleans, and that was Ricochet's first match really in WWE or under WWE, and he's going to serve the same purpose here. I think he has absolutely no fear at all, happy to throw himself around, loves the big kind of aerial spots, and is one of, if not the best seller that WWE have in terms of making moves look absolutely incredible. So it's great he's in here, and I think this year is going to be quite a stacked roster or stacked match of people that are going to be on it. We've already got three people who really like the upper mid card. Ricochet's obviously recently he's been involved in the tag team side of things with Braun Strowman, but with Braun possibly being out potentially forever. We don't know at the moment because I saw worrying things that he can't actually feel his leg at the moment. So there's some nasty things going on with Braun Strowman, and that's such a shame, especially when him and Ricochet seem to be gathering a bit of momentum as well.
Ricochet,
Ricochet, yeah. But yeah, we've got Ricochet in this picture here. This is taken from Raw on Monday night, where he had a match with Nakamura, which before Bronson Reed got involved. So are we expecting to see Bronson Reed get involved, or is this just a thing with him and Ricochet?
Yeah, I reckon so. Although I also suspect we might get some Brock Lesnar interference. So I kind of like the idea of both of them interfering and battering each other. That'd be cool. That'd be ace. But yeah, it's a Money in the Bank match, which means it's no disqualification, which means, and I'm not going to rip off Jim Cornette, but because it's not necessarily lazy booking, but it's they can do what they want in Money in the Bank because it's Money in the Bank. Basically, it's carte blanche to completely piss about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. So with Ricochet as well, do you think he'll ever get to that stage where he can be a legitimate challenger for a heavyweight championship or a world title of any kind of description? Maybe that question is probably specifically for WWE. Could you see him at the top and be the face of the company at any point?
Well, now the issue we've got now is we're back to square one, in the sense that we've got Roman Reigns, who's the A champ, and we, like it or not, we now have a B champion. Like, yes, it's a world title, the world heavyweight championship, but they're like, that is something they could put on Ricochet, I think, at some point in the future. But they're not going to give him the thing, whatever the hell they're calling the thing Roman Reigns holds now, the undisputed WWE Universal. Nah, that's not in his future. But now that they have created a B belt, a second world title, yeah, that one could be in his future, I think.
Yeah, I think obviously depending on who holds it, but like him answering an open challenge from Seth or something like that is easy enough to be done. But unfortunately, I don't see the longevity of him. He's the kind of guy who, like, he could be with WWE for the rest of his life and make a lot of money. And he's one of those ones who's probably the favorite of kids and people because of the stuff he does, like the aerial threat he has. And I think it's a great spot for him. But it's weird, unless he kind of has one of those renaissance, I guess, like sort of Kofi Kingston style, I don't really see where he kind of slots into that main event.
Sorry, mate. Go ahead.
Go on.
No, I was going to say, I'll tell you what he needs. Because I think right now, Mustafa Ali might be catching fire again. Last time Mustafa Ali caught fire, he got injured, and Kofi Kingston took basically his spots in Elimination Chamber, and then Kofi Mania happened. But I think Ricochet needs is the one thing he's never had in WWE, which he has had everywhere else, which is a good story. Because that's what got Sami Zayn over. Like we all knew for years how good Sami Zayn was. Those of us who watched him in Ring of Honor or just watched him in WWE, we all knew how great he was. But what got Sami Zayn from the mid card to the tippy top? I know he hasn't won the title, and he probably shouldn't yet, or for a long time. But it was a good story. We got behind Sami Zayn as a heel. We all started associating with him. We've all been that person at some point in our lives. And that's what they need to give Ricochet. That's what he needs. He needs a good long-term, it's like Martin says, start small and build him up. But it's about WWE could help themselves with better creative. And we know they can do it because look at this Bloodline story. It's still, even like 2 years later, must-see TV. It's amazing. And it's just never fails to capture my attention, and that's what Ricky needs. Ricky needs.
Yeah, I guess the thing is as well, like when you look at him, he's a good-looking guy. He's like, every time you see him, he's ripped to pieces. He's so athletically gifted. Like, he's got everything that that someone would want to be the face of it. But as you say, I think at this stage, yes, he's probably just missing like a story to get his teeth into, and maybe even he needs that rival. He's never really had that one that kind of defines you, because when you look back, you always need that good dance partner, don't you? Who who can help you, but also like help themselves at the same time, and vice versa. So, you know, as you said, Sami Zayn's had the likes of the Bloodline, but he's also had Kevin Owens like throughout his career that they can throw in together, and you know it's going to be a banger of a match. So it'd be interesting to see if they can kind of push Ricochet into that and give him something to really get his teeth into. So yeah, I mean, on a scale of, I don't know, 1 to 10, what do you think his odds are of walking away with the briefcase?
Like 2.
2.
And also, there's every possible, like, I know he's such a nice guy as well. And I know we don't want to spend too much time talking about just one guy, but they could turn him heel. Have we ever seen him be a heel in WWE?
No,
Like,
not
he's the male Bailey, like, and he can be a heel. He was a right dick in PWG when he was feuding with Chuck Taylor, and he's good at it. So he's probably a better baby face, but I think a good story to make a good hero, you sometimes need a villain to see the light, as with Sami Zayn and a few other people. So that's what I'd do. I'd turn him for a bit.
I wonder if they could do
Mustafa
something
Ali.
like, was it Billy Kidman that they did it with, where he was like, he accidentally injured someone, but they turned it into a thing where he was doing it on purpose afterwards because his shooting star press was dangerous. So there's ways of doing it with people, because I would put him in the same kind of like stature as Billy Kidman, who was definitely mid-carder, but was very popular and very athletically gifted. So there is ways to do it, as you say.
I think one way they can do it is they turn him heel temporarily. They put him in a situation where he like Sami Zayn doesn't have to take several years like that one did, but put it in a situation where a bigger heel is making him do something awful. And I've got a good example for this in a minute. And where he then has a moment of conscience and does the right thing, there's a pop, instant baby face. He can come out, cut a promo the next day and explain. You know, I'm fantasy booking Ricochet here, which I know is what I always do. But a good example of this is when Samoa Joe was feuding with Roman Reigns, and Samoa Joe was the heel. And they never went anywhere with this story. It was really, really good. But when somebody tried running over Roman Reigns, and even though Samoa Joe was out to go and beat the crap out of him, when he realized someone was actually trying to kill Roman, he actually stood over him and protected him briefly. And the idea was, even though this guy's a bad guy, this guy's a heel, whatever this other person is doing is much worse. And that instantly made that made Samoa Joe a babyface straight away because he had honor. And I think if they do something like that with Ricochet, turn him and then return him in a clever way, they have to jolt him. Otherwise, he's just going to be boring forever.
And on that note, let's move on to contestant number 2, Shinsuke Nakamura, who, when I was kind of putting together the description of what this was about, one of the things that kind of really like stood out to me, and every time I talk about Shinsuke, is he has won a lot in WWE in his time in WWE, but he's never won a world championship. He has been around a good few years now, if you include his NXT stuff into it for WWE. So again, let's start with the big question: is Nakamura a genuine contender in this match?
You're gonna make me do it again, aren't you? No. He's Shinsuke Nakamura. He's achieved more in just Japan than I'm ever going to do in my entire lifetime. So hit me here passing judgment on him is ridiculous. But look, he's already a legend. Is he owed it? Yeah, but he's not there in the company. And it's their fault, not his. They've just never used him right. He caught fire when he was on the main roster. He caught fire. He was huge then, and they booked him into silly corners, and then they turned him heel. And he was kind of cool for a while as a heel, but the creative was so bad back then with him just hitting AJ in the balls every day. It was just boring. It was rubbish. And now they brought him back, and he's got his amazing music and his insanely charismatic, character and all of that. But I don't see him having a major run. His major run should have been in New Orleans when he won the Royal Rumble and was up against AJ. He was a real credible champion back then. He should have beaten AJ and had a run then. I don't know if we're ever going to get back to that point with Shinsuke. I pop for him every time, but I don't see him right now as Roman Reigns, a Seth Rollins, even a Cody Rhodes or a Brock. I don't see him like that. He deserves to be, but the reality is he just isn't. So, and even if he did win Money in the Bank, I think they'd squander it. I think they'd waste it. Prove me wrong, though, WWE. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys who, although you can always hear it in your voice, is that you don't want to kind of say that it will never happen because he's so talented and he's very popular.
Yeah,
he comes across as a very nice guy as well. But like, as you say, has that boat kind of sailed away already? And unfortunately for him, maybe this has come around a couple of years too late. And unfortunately, I think his best years in WWE were maybe under some of the worst creative that we have seen, as you said, because the matches he had with AJ should have been some of the best of all time. Unfortunately, the way that they ended always kind of soured it. I think they had one out of the three that they had was actually very good, but that was about it. I love Shinsuke, and I've seen him back. And the thing is, as well, you got to remember how world renowned he is. He was asked to be in the Great Mutas retirement tour, and WWE did that favor for them. So obviously, they wouldn't do that for anyone. They know they can send Nakamura away, and he's going to be professional about everything. He didn't come back up for a while after that in terms of onto TV. He was just like, let's bring you back when the time's right. They've moved him over to Raw. My biggest wish for Nakamura is I want to see a 20-minute absolute classic match with Seth Rollins in an open challenge.
Yes, I'd enjoy that.
We had Damian Priest on Monday. I'm really hoping we get one with Nakamura where he can answer a challenge and they just are allowed to go 2, 3, 4 segments, because him versus Rollins would be amazing. I just think his ring prowess, like, he deserves to have like more opportunities at titles. And when you look at his background in WWE, he's had multiple Intercontinental, multiple US titles, tag team titles. He's had the NXT Championship. He's a Royal Rumble winner. He kind of pretended to be the king of the ring for a while as well. So he's not far off of being a Grand Slam champion. It's crazy that people say he's not had a great career. He has. It's just not reached the pinnacle that it possibly could have done.
The problem is as well, he's been in the company while WWE has done nothing but push Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. So he's been in there. He's been there at the wrong time. Like if he'd come a little bit before that, maybe. But WWE is certainly interested in lots of superstars. But in the past, since Seth Rollins cashed in his Money in the Bank, since the fall of the Shield, it's been Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Now it isn't that anymore, but they're still the two biggest, baddest guys in the company. And while they exist, people like, even Seth Rollins is a B champ. It sounds terrible because he's so amazing. But if Shinsuke was to take that off him, he'd be the B champ. But at this point, is that the best he could hope for? Because WWE did this with the Universal Championship. They pushed and made way more important than the WWE Championship. The Universal one. For years they did that. Now I fear they're going to do that again with the new big gold belt. So my hope for Shinsuke is, a classic with Seth Rollins. Maybe he wins at some point. Maybe one of them turns heel. He has that run, and at least he gets that on his resume. But I don't see it happening here because I think they're going somewhere else with this Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of respects, he's actually very similar, like in terms of levels, to the way that Oscar's kind of been booked, because Oscar's never really been the A champion. She's always had like what felt like the secondary championship, or even the way that it's presented in terms of storyline, it's always felt slightly secondary. And although she's had a lot of accolades, it still doesn't feel like she's reached her full potential, very similar to Nakamura as well. And I know, unlike Oscar, Nakamura actually can speak pretty decent English. I've interviewed both of them, and Oscar had to have a translator with her. Nakamura was happy to kind of have a go on his own. So they're both, he actually is very charismatic when you speak to him as well. If you ever have the chance to talk to him. He's a really laid back guy. You know, you see the pictures and you kind of hear the rumors that he just likes to surf in his spare time. That's what he's like.
He's a surfer dude. He's Matt Riddle. He's the Japanese Matt Riddle.
Yeah, he's just laid back, and you hear nice stories. Like I think it was one of the Good Brothers, wasn't it, who was broke in Japan. So Nakamura took him to a cash machine and gave him a load of money, and just said, like, you know, it's no bother, like, go look after yourself, sort of thing. And like, apparently he's a lovely guy. I would personally say, though, I would. So I know there's only 3 been announced. He would be my favorite out of the 3 to win it, because we'll move on to the third person that's here. But I can picture Nakamura on top of the ladder, bringing the briefcase down, and you know how he can hold it. And he seems to be one of the easy ones that they could kind of morph into a heel character quite easily, because it's just a guy, or maybe just be a cocky face in terms of like just hold the briefcase and, oh yeah, I might cash in on you, I might not, because he is just dead chilled out. So maybe that's what they do with him.
He's the sort of guy they could have him win it as a baby face, and his music could hit, he could come down to the ring with it and then just turn around and go back. And that'd be funny if they did it with him, because it's the sort of thing it's the whimsical sort of thing he would do. Like normally that'd be a heel move, but I think with Shinsuke it could just be a cheeky move, and it's I could do it, you know, and that'd be good. So yeah, he could pull that off quite nicely.
And afterwards, it is more of a
and the more I think about things like that, the more I want to see it. But with WWE, they do surprise me sometimes, but I usually call it.
So call this then out of 10 again. What's his rating that you think? What's his chances that he could take the briefcase?
I'm giving him more than Ricky because he's Shinsuke and he's such a big star. No disrespect to Ricky, but I'm going to give him 4 out of 10.
4, so double what Ricochet's chances are.
Double what Ricochet's chances are, but nowhere near what some of the others are going to get.
All right. Well, the other one that we have at the moment, because at the moment we only have 3 out of the presumed 6 that we're going to get. It could be more, could be less, I guess. But they've thrown up 3 of the vacant faces that we have seen in the past as well. So we're presuming at this point there is going to be a field of 6, but who knows? They could throw in like a battle royale of the people who have lost so far to have one final chance that they've done like a few times as well. So they could be a 7th entrant. Or we could get someone like Brock Lesnar who just decides he wants to join in. Like we've seen that as well. But as you can see on the screen, we have someone who at the moment has caught fire on social media and even in the arenas themselves as well. Here we have, let me do it properly, LA Knight. Yeah. And that is, I'm in a WhatsApp group and there's people recording voice messages with just saying, yeah. You can see that he's definitely the crowd favorite at the moment. But does being a crowd favorite translate to having a good chance of winning the Money in the Bank?
It should do, because this is a business where you've got to lean into the fans and swerve the fans in equal measure. You've got the fans are another parent. WWE are one parent of WWE, you know, the people who book it. We're the other parent. And this needs to be a co-parenting thing. You've got to lead into the crowd sometimes. Yeah, me too, Martin. Me too. You were sat with me, Martin, in the arena on was it Raw after Mania? And I was doing it, and I'm sorry I went for a wee so many times and pushed past you so many times. But Martin would have gone deaf in one ear with me going, yeah, that night. And you'll remember yourself, Andy. We were in the building for NXT Stand and Deliver, a completely separate show, nothing to do with LA Knight, at least not for a while. And all I could hear in that show, because it was the night after SmackDown, all we could hear was, yeah, it was NXT. And then I heard it again at Mania. Yeah. And I was like, they haven't got the guy on the card, so they screwed us over with LA Knight at WrestleMania. They screwed us over again at Night of Champions. Like, the first thing Triple H heard when he came out of the press conference was a fan going, yeah. And it's like, what does this tell you guys? So I'd love to believe that they're saving LA Knight for this moment. Because imagine him, a crap-eating heel like him, with Money in the Bank. Like the fun we could have with his mic skills and him being Mr. Money in the Bank, we could have. Oh, it would be so good. And unless they put a couple of other people into this position, he's not until he's up against someone like Cody or whoever. He's my favorite to win it because I have to believe at some point they're going to lean into this, and he can still be a heel and they lean in, but this is a perfect opportunity for them to do something good with LA Knight, and him still be a heel, because I don't ever want a babyface to win Money in the Bank. It's way more interesting if a heel does it, or unless it's a certain type of face. And do you remember when Braun Strowman had it and was like, right, I'm going to cash in on you on this date, and I'm going to stand at the ring here holding the briefcase and hope nobody comes and attacks me during the match and throws the briefcase all the way. It was stupid. So yeah, let's keep it on a heel. What was that about?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it before. That WrestleMania weekend, it was, and we have heard it before as well at WrestleMania weekends, where you'll get Rusev Day chants. That was the big thing at WrestleMania 34. We had the one where Fandango was there and everyone was doing the Fandango kind of music. And you get the old one or two, in the past, it's been hijacked with Daniel Bryan with the yes, sorry. So yeah, positive affirmations apparently will get you over with the crowd. So either a yes or a yeah, and you'll get to where you need to be. The issue I have is I think WWE have smartened up to this, because if you are any kind of superstitious person, when WWE posted in on their social media channels saying, give us a yeah if you think LA Knight is going to win, and they're kind of teasing that they're going to be the one who does it, it generally means he's not going to be the one who does it, because they like to do a little bit of deception, like, look at this hand while I'm doing something with the other. So that's what I worry about, is that they had him on the bump and they gave him like a bit of time to get himself over there. They're steering into the fact and let him talk about he wasn't booked for Mania and he wasn't booked for Night of Champions, but he's guaranteed his way here. So it's a strange one, because I don't trust WWE when they do that kind of stuff. It feels like you've been burnt too many times before. But that being said, out of the three that are there, he would absolutely be the best Mr. Money in the Bank, in terms of he could be up there with one of the best to have ever held it, because quite frankly, his whole character and persona that he's had and built for himself is that he's a clever guy. He's a clever heel. He knows what makes people tick, and he knows what gets a reaction. And he's the kind of person who could actually go, you know what, I'm not gonna cash this in until next Mania, and I'm gonna come out and because quite frankly, not enough people do that. If you want to guarantee yourself a way in, what's the point of doing it? Like, I have to go through 29 other guys at the Royal Rumble, or I've got to hope that I'm up the card enough. No, just keep hold of it. And he's the kind of guy who could do that and go, you know what? If he's a face, he goes, hey, I am a bit older than most people, but I want my WrestleMania payday, so I'm going to keep it there until then. I'm not even going to bring it around with me. I don't need to. Or quite frankly, he just does the heelish thing of, like, every time there's a chance he could get involved, he runs down to the ring and actually, not this time, or he gets knocked out or whatever. But yeah, he's the ideal Mr. Money in the Bank, because he can be a heel, but he can also be a face. So you kind of get the popularity of the crowd, but he can play that with the heelish tactics, because if anything, he's probably a bit of a tweener, really.
At this point, yeah, I suppose he is. Like, they have him run down the crowd now and then to remind you he's a heel, but the crowd have chosen him. He is a fan favourite. So they're in that weird space now where they need to figure out what they want to do with him. And he doesn't even need to win a championship with that Money in the Bank. He just needs to hold it and be a good Mr. Money in the Bank, an entertaining one. And then maybe cash in a cool match at some point at a future pay-per-view and come up short there. That's what I think. Like, he needs to insert himself into a cool feud. Let's say they bring back Bray Wyatt, and Bray is, in his next feud and or something like that. And just as Bray and his next victim are about to kick off, his music hits and he cashes in, and say one of them's got a belt, and he's doing this to, that'd be a way of paying off some long-time storytelling, and maybe me salvaging something from that. You know what I mean? It wasn't all for nothing.
Yeah, I get that, but I mean, the one thing that did worry me about what he said on the bump was when he opened, he said, "Oh, maybe I'll cash in on an Intercontinental Championship, or I'll go in on Austin Theory," and he kind of went through them until he got to Roman, and I was like, I really don't like the idea of someone cashing in. It doesn't make any logical sense to why, when you've got a guaranteed shot, you would use that on the mid card where you're probably going to be able to get it in a battle royale a few weeks later. It just doesn't make sense to me why that happens. I know the Austin Theory one worked kind of because it was his awakening that, he lost it and stuff like that, and he eventually won it anyway, like the US title off of Seth anyway. But yeah, that sort of stuff, it's nonsensical. I don't really get why they go down that route. So not for me.
Well, yeah, I get you, but the question is, if you're a heel, have you got more chance of getting that one and having some gold, or are you going to go after the tribal chief and get decimated? Although Roman is now weaker than he's ever been. So, yeah. But at the same time, I'm telling you now, when Gunther's on screen with the Intercontinental Championship, Roman Reigns who? Seth Rollins who? Gunther has made that IC Championship mean something again. So much so, like I was annoyed in a way by the reintroduction of the big gold belt, because it's kind of pushed the IC in the US down the card a little bit, but it actually hasn't, because Gunther is such a dominant champion. I feel like they've done Austin dirty by not having him on the last pay-per-view, but with Money in the Bank, him going after Gunther, that. I don't know. I think for the first time in a long time, the IC title is a big deal again, just because of the man it's on.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I guess he could. I get like someone like that because he's been so dominant, it would make sense. But with Austin Theory, it wouldn't, and I just worry because of that. Like, sort. Yeah, if you use it on Austin Theory, it feels like a waste. But Gunther, I guess, it's a way to get the title off of him where you can still keep him strong as well. So it's potential. But yeah, I just think if he's going to go for it, he's got to go for Seth. And I do foresee that it will be on the new heavyweight championship, because they want to kind of put a bit of shine on it. They want to put a bit of prestige and build it up as well. So and this is an easy way to do it, saying, actually, I'm going to cash in on this one. And I think that's probably wise. They didn't really have that option when Austin Theory had it, because it was just Roman. And let's face it, like, how would the crowd have reacted if he cashed in on Roman and actually done anything with it? And if he didn't, then people would just be like, it's a waste. And it doesn't make sense, because as you said, why would you do it when Solo and the Usos are constantly around? You just couldn't get near him. His time made sense in that, but yeah, here I'm not so sure. But
look at Austin Theory. Sorry, mate. Sorry, you were still going.
I was going to say, certainly he seems to. I would say LA Knight is probably the favorite out of these three in terms of chances. But what you go ahead, mate.
I was going to say, no. Sorry, did Theory cash in his Money in the Bank on the US title, or did he eventually waste it on? Did he use it on Roman and fail? I can't remember.
No. So he tried a couple of times, and he got he got knocked out at Clash by Tyson Fury.
That was great.
And he tried another one where I think the Usos stopped him, and then he eventually cashed it on Seth, but he failed. He lost in that. So that was an interesting one, because it was then 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, he actually beat Seth in like a normal match for the US title, because he just said, like, give me another chance, and he turned like full heel anyway.
I really enjoyed that run because I felt like Theory held, as a heel should, held that belt, held that briefcase, and was an actual threat. And every major pay-per-view, he tried. He failed, but he tried. He wormed his way out. And I thought that was that Clash at the Castle and at SummerSlam when he did it again. And there was another time he did it too. I actually looked forward to Theory coming out and trying it on. And sometimes it felt a little bit overbooked, like at SummerSlam. But I adored that SummerSlam match. I think it had so much like different multi-layered feuds and storytelling going on. It was just so good. But that's when Money in the Bank is at its best. when the guy holding it is a constant threat, a shark just circling a certain champion. And that's what they need to do. I really enjoyed that last one with Theory, and I kind of hope they do it something similar with the next person who wins. I don't want to see a babyface.
Yeah, it definitely seems destined to do that, because especially with Seth constantly putting out open challenges, that they'll go, oh, well, if you keep doing this, and if it's LA Knight, and LA Knight's just kind of sat at ringside every time, he's like, cool, you keep doing these open challenges and someone's going to absolutely destroy you, and I'm just going to jump in at the end.
Yeah, that's good. That's what it should be for.
So, yeah, but I think that does play into what Martin was saying. How they book LA Knight over the next few weeks is going to give us the biggest indication of where he's going. I agree. I think they need to start making all of the participants look strong as much as possible, but give a little bit of a hint here and there as to who the favourite might be. And he also said, I don't know if you've seen over the past month or so, he seems more heel on the mic, but in match he's more babyface. Yeah, I mean, he does almost like a people's elbow, doesn't he? Where he does the same, like run off the ring ropes and stuff like that. So he does seem to wrestle where he panders to the crowd a lot, which is very babyface. But yeah, as you said earlier, he then could just drop an insult on a mic, because that's his skill set, isn't it? He's a very good talker. But yeah, put him again, when you imagine who can be the face of a company, LA Knight, why not? He's a great talker. And that's what you need a lot of the time. You're going to send people onto like radio shows, or you're going to send people on. And I think he's quite an old school promo as well, very similar to The Rock and Stone Cold and people of years gone by. And I think that kind of gimmick will go over well with media, especially media that doesn't wrestling like day in, day out, but he goes on a breakfast show or whatever, then he'll give the producer or the presenter as good as he gets, sort of thing. So you can see that working very well. And quite frankly, I could see LA Knight in one of the sort of 3 main events he'll have at a WrestleMania if he goes that far. So I'm not mad. I'll ask you the same question again. 1 to 10, what chance has LA Knight got of walking away with the briefcase?
The issue is we don't know who else is coming, so I'm gonna give him a 6, because I'd give him higher, but I don't know who else is coming. And like you say, they're teasing him so much, he's probably not got it.
Yeah,
they haven't done that with Ricochet.
Yeah, true. We know one of the people, well, someone out of Santos Escobar versus Ali is going to be in it. So there's definitely one of the spots, but I think that's the only match. But I'm not sure if there's anything else been announced for SmackDown yet. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see who the others are that join. Do they stick with 3 more, or is there another one? Is there going to be a surprise? Because let's face it, with them being in London, they're probably going to want as big a pop as possible. So if there's any kind of surprise entrance they can give us, or a shock or a twist or something, that'll be interesting if they throw that into the UK crowd. So I wouldn't put it past them, but it'd be interesting with Raw being up in Newcastle on the same night as SmackDown. I was having this conversation earlier. I wonder if we'll get to see one of those really cool promos where they all sit on top of the ladder and kind of have a conversation, because that's one of my favorite Money in the Bank moments, was when they did that. We kind of just sat and had a bit of a chat about whose chances have got, who's got the best chances. So we'll see. So you've got LA Knight down as a 6. You've got Ricochet down as was it a 2?
Yeah.
And then
nice and neatly,
you've got Nakamura down as a 4. So 2, 4, and 6. So maybe one of the 3 will get a 0, and one of them will get an 8, and one of them will get a 10, and then you go. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. And what we might do is, in a couple of weeks, when hopefully the other 3 have been announced, we'll do a second part to this video where we run down the other contestants that are going to be there as well, and see what their chances are, and see their kind of talking points as well. So yeah, not too long on tonight, but it's starting to get exciting when it comes to Money in the Bank. We're only a few weeks away. What are we, 3 weeks away on Saturday? Yeah,
we are. I think we're providing it all comes off, we're doing a little bit of a road trip, aren't we? So that'll be fun.
It'd be fun driving back to Newcastle. It's still about 2 or 3 in the morning. So
Just
the
really
red.
going to be funny. I'm going to knock
Yeah.
on. I'm going to knock on the door and wake Jess up at like 3 in the morning. Go, hello, honey, I'm home. She's up your neck of the woods. She'll be on holiday. She'll be in our cottage. My family will be in another cottage, and I'll just be rocking up there, probably still with this hat on, and I'll be like, so that'll be good.
Yeah. But yeah, it seems like the guys from Gimme a Hole Yeah are venturing up to Newcastle these days. I bumped into Anth on a Kiss concert on Tuesday as well. Literally sat down. I sat next to my dad, and then I said, "I'm pretty sure the guy on the other side of you is called Anth, and I've been to LA with him." And Dad was like, he's like, "Nah, not a chance." And I was right. It was. He was.
That is just crazy. And like, I mean, you and him are in a WhatsApp group together, and that never came up. Oh, boys, I'm going to Kiss tomorrow. Oh yeah, me too. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we are like, and I think we talk on that WhatsApp group every single day at some point for something. It's usually work related, for this but
we had a phone call like 2 weeks ago where we're talking about setting up the GM modes and what we've got to do. Still didn't come up, and I also know that he's a big rock fan and metal fan, and I still didn't think. So it wasn't until I texted him as well and was like, "Are you at a Kiss concert?" Because I was like, "I'm not saying his name and not being him; it's just being someone else that looks incredibly like him." But no, it was really cool to see him at the concert, and I believe he's now sat in a muddy field, or it's probably not muddy yet because it's been quite dry in Donington for Download Festival. So
he loves it, doesn't he? So hang on, you text him when he was like 2 feet away from you.
Yes, and he didn't check his message. So I felt even worse.
I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, what do I do? Ring him. I'm going to ring him. See if he checks.
No, I ended up just going like, right, Dad, I'm going to the toilet. And then I just kind of like got right in his face. He's like, Andy. And I was like, yes, it is you.
So nuts. That's crazy. Oh, my God.
But yeah, so it's a small world after all, isn't it? So anyway, we are going to wrap this up by, I'll let you, Sam. Yes, it does. See, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem here. It's Taylor Swift. It's me. I'm the problem. Reminds me of LA and not realised Andy was sat in front of me at WrestleMania SmackDown. And the stupid thing is, I told Martin where I was sat. And then it wasn't until about an hour into the show, and I think we just went, Martin, Andy. Yeah, we're like, yeah, that's fine. So we eventually got there. But yeah, I think I'm maybe a bit too tentative in real life. I don't have the same courage as I do behind the camera. It's easy to sit here in what looks like a little booth and just spout absolute nonsense for a little while.
Well, speaking of you, me, Martin, and Anthony Nayland, we'll always have Denny's, boys. We'll always have Denny's. And
absolutely. And who knows what we're going to have in London, because I know Martin's going to be down in London, and hopefully you will be. I know Dom's going to be down there as well. So looking forward to meeting everyone. And if you do watch this before, come say hi if you see me. I'm hoping my T-shirt will have come through, which will be branded with Wrestling Royalty. So, and you know, Sam, if he's there, he's going to be wearing a Gimme a Hole Yeah, and probably a WrestleSphere as well. But I will let you talk about WrestleSphere and Gimme a Hole Yeah.
Yeah.
And let us know what you've got going on, because I think you've got a big interview to plug.
Oh yeah, God. I'm not gonna lie, mate. This week I've barely slept, breathed, eaten, or anything. Right, yeah. So I interviewed Steve Macklin, the current Impact World Champion, the other day. That will be going live on WrestleSphere and YouTube imminently. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. It's all done. It's all subbed. It's all ready to go. I think we're just waiting to click go on that. I won't go into too much about the process, but yeah, that's keep an eye on my Twitter, Dom's Twitter, WrestleSphere's Twitter, and even Steve Macklin's Twitter, because he retweeted me last night when I thanked him for the interview, and he does this cool thing when he retweets. You've just put in his hashtag Macklin little whiskey. It's dead, and I kind of wish I thought of that. It's dead cool. But yeah, so WrestleSphere is an extension of SoundSphere magazine, but just focused on wrestling and a bit of MMA thrown in for good measure as well. Still has a little bit of a music connection because of its SoundSphere parentage on occasion, but it's we have Gimme a Hole, where we can be a little bit silly and talk wrestling as fans. But WrestleSphere is when we're doing our day job as journalists, and we are actually interviewing these guys and being as impartial as we can be. But WrestleSphere is all about the interviews. Andy's done one for us as well, haven't you, Andy, with Sami Callihan? I imagine Andy will be doing more in time as well for WrestleSphere. We love the idea of me, Andy, and Dom splitting them between us, because it's nice to have the Gimme a Hole personalities doing the different interviews. So that's the idea. So if you want to see the silly people you tune into a couple of nights a week interviewing actual wrestlers, check out WrestleSphere, because we're putting an enormous lot of our heart and souls into it for you.
I mean, I can't wait till the day where you are stood next to Ricochet, and hopefully I'm stood next to you, and I'll say, "What? Just out of interest, what odds did you give on Ricochet winning the Money in the Bank match?" And then just walk away.
Mate, I'm the master. I'm the master of getting out of situations like that. I'll just go, Ricochet, you'll always be Pretty Ricky and Prince Puma to me. And down with Johnny Mundo. That's all I'll need to say.
But you're a 2 out of 10.
But I'll say, sorry, mate, in that match you were a 2 out of 10, and I'm sure you agree with me, because you were in there with Cody Bloody Rhodes at LA Knight, and then that thing about Brock Lesnar interfering. So, sorry, mate. But you've got a gorgeous wife, and you've got a fantastic career. There you go.
What more can you ask for? So yeah, go check out WrestleSphere. Go check out Gimme a Hole. Go subscribe to both those channels, and definitely check out the interview that's coming up, because I've watched some of the interviews that you've done before, and they're always interesting. I really like the way you turn it into more of just a nice little chat rather than a strict Q&A. It's nice to hear. And yeah, really good Impact content over there as well. So Impact doesn't always get a lot of love, apart from, you can guarantee Impact will get a lot of love from WrestleSphere. Yeah. So go check that out. There's also a Mustafa Ali one that Dom did not too long ago. So you've got that one as well, who is a beacon of positivity as always. As for myself, I've got some stuff coming up on rushonrock.com as always, so go check that out. There's going to be a lot of North wrestling content going to be happening, so definitely check that out. I'd love to get the guys from WrestleSphere up for that, because that show in July is going to be amazing. We've got Gangrel and Scotty Too Hotty, and the Joey Janela as well has been announced. As well as the main event is going to be between champion Liam Slater versus Leon Slater, which is going to sound really confusing. But Leon Slater is one of the biggest and hottest up and coming acts on the British independent circuit. So that match is going to be epic. You can see a really cool promo video that my good friend Alex Ayre has put together, who does all the camera work, or a lot of the camera work for North, which just gone out at 7 p.m. tonight, and it's an epic one. So go check out North Wrestling on Twitter to see all that good stuff. And before I leave you, I'm gonna leave you with a little bit of a teaser. There's something brewing for myself, something different, something non-wrestling related. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put up this picture and leave it as that, because I'm not going to give you any more hints. But there is something coming very soon, which I'm really excited about. And look at Sam getting right up so close to the screen. He's trying to see if there's anything.
I should actually full screen it. That'd help, wouldn't it? There we go.
Possibly. But yeah, so that's a little teaser. There's something coming, which I will unveil when the time is right. But it's imminent. It's coming. And I'm really excited to let you all know what it is. But for now, we are going to wrap things up now. We've been on for about an hour, and really excited for Money in the Bank. Really excited to be there no matter what happens. And I'm really hoping that Sam's going to be there. We know Dom's going to be there. We know who else is going to be there. Martin's going to be there. I'm sure we'll know some other people.
I need to talk to Dan. I need to find out what that, because I know Ant's probably not that bothered. He's too busy bumping into you at KISS concerts. But I need to know what Dan Hargreaves is doing. Again, we won't be able to get him in as press, I wouldn't have thought. But he went to clash with a couple of friends, So it'd be lovely to have him there. So I'll have to catch up with him this week and see what he's doing.
Absolutely. So yeah, let us know in the comments if you're watching this in the future. Who do you think is going to win Money in the Bank, or any of the three that we've discussed tonight? Favourites, and if so, why? If not, why? And who else might have a chance of winning? But for now, he's been Sam. I've been Andy. This has been Wrestling Royalty. Have a good Thursday evening. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you very soon.